you're working on a project using the AIA payment application, the GC will likely require you to provide continuation sheets along with it. In this video, we'll explain each section of the continuation sheet. A continuation sheet is a document that describes each item of work on a project and assigns a value to it. It's similar to a schedule of values, but it also tracks the progress as the job goes on. Continuation sheet is generally submitted as backup to the payment application. It provides the percentage of work complete, the costs associated with it, and the current amount of payments already paid and the payment due. Reviewing construction pay applications can take a while for the owner or GC, so the more information that you provide, the easier the process becomes and the faster that you get paid. Even if you're not using AIA contract documents, by providing a continuation sheet with each payment application, you'll give the owner a clear view of the current status of your work. It allows the GC or the property owner to cross-reference the current documents with previous applications to ensure that all the amounts are true and accurate. The continuation sheet is the more complex of the 3 AIA forms submitted as part of the payment application. It's important to fill these forms out accurately since they build on one another throughout the project. Let's dive into each section of this document, and we'll start with the header. Here, you put in some basic information about the project, and this should reflect the other forms that you have on your payment application. You'll need the pay app number, the date, and the billing period. All that's left for that section is the project number, which the architect, owner, and GC will provide. Next, we get to the good stuff, the table of work and values. This is where you'll list each work item, along with the associated cost or value, the accounting of work and materials. And the more accurate that your continuation sheet is, the easier it'll be to fill out your pay applications. For each column, once each line item has been filled out, add up the amounts and put the total in to the grand total row at the bottom. If you have multiple pages, you don't need to put a total on each page, just add them up on the last page of your continuation sheets. In column A, you'll put the item number. This can simply be a numbered list, such as 1, 2, 3, but a lot of contractors use the master format numbers that are set out by CSI. This is a standardized index to make it easier to identify specific work. For example, tunneling, boring, and jacking is item number 2400 in the master format system. If you want to use this numbering system, you'll need the master format reference guide. Then column B is for a description of the work. For each line item, you should provide a brief description of the type of work being provided, just enough information to describe the labor performed and the materials that are being used. On a big project, you may require multiple pages to include all of the relevant information. In column C, you'll put the scheduled value. The scheduled value is the cost to complete each line item. The amounts in this column should match up to the schedule of values from the beginning of the project, and unless they are adjusted through change orders, these numbers will remain consistent throughout the entire project. Add the values to get the subtotal at the bottom of the column. If you're using multiple pages, just put the subtotal amount at the last page. You don't need to put a subtotal on each page. Column D is work completed from previous payment applications. This column is for the value of all the work that you finished prior to this application. You can get this figure from the previous continuation sheet that you filled out by adding the columns D and E. If this is the first payment application in the project, then leave this column blank. Don't include any materials that you've purchased and stored on the job site but haven't used yet. We'll get to that in a minute. Then column E is the work completed during this period. This is a pretty easy one. This section simply requires that the value of the work that you finished during the current pay period. How much work did you do? What was the value? You put that number here. Then column F is the materials that are presently stored. In column F, you'll put the value of all the materials that you've purchased and stored on the job site but haven't actually used yet. Only enter the value of materials that you've purchased through the end of the billing period. You may be tempted to bill for materials that you're planning to purchase soon or purchase after the billing period, but it's generally not recommended. Overbilling can delay your pay app and hurt the relationship with the hiring party. Column G is the total completed and stored to date. In this column, all you'll need to do is add up columns D, E, and F. This gives you the total value of the work completed through the pay period, along with the value of the materials that you're storing. This is basically the value of all the labor and materials that you've contributed towards each line item so far. The value will be in the left-hand part of column G for each line item. Once you have the cost for each line item, the right-hand part of column G is for the percentage complete. To get to this number, take the value in column G, the total completed and stored to date, and divide that by column C, the scheduled value. This will give you the percentage of completion for each line item, and it tells you how much of each item you've completed and how much you have left to complete. As you know, everybody looks straight to this line. Then there's column H, the balance to finish. This column will tell you how much money you need to finish the work on each line item, and it's another pretty easy section. Just take the amount from column C, the scheduled value, and subtract column G, the total completed and stored to date. And then column I, the last column, is for retainage, but only if you're using variable retainage. Variable retainage can mean one of two things. One, that the amount of retainage is reduced after a certain percentage of work is complete, or two, that the retainage percentage is different for labor and materials. If the retainage is fixed at a certain percent throughout the entire project, you don't need to use this column. Fixed retainage is calculated on the pay application itself. Remember, because continuation sheets build on one another throughout the project, it's important to pay close attention to the details here. The more accurate and complete that you can be on the continuation sheet, the faster the owner or the GC can review your application and the faster that you get paid. We hope that this video has been helpful. If you have any other construction payment questions, head over to levelset.com to get payment help from one of our lawyers or live chat with one of our payment experts. If you want to see more construction payment videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos. And remember, payment help is here.